Good evening, everyone. I'm Alex Solfan. Welcome to another Salty Dog webinar. Tonight, we're going to be talking about Panama and actually transiting the canal. And with us from Shelter Bay Marina is Russ Gudgeon. Um, and Russ has been down there, as he was just telling me, for close to 40 years. So he's got quite a bit of experience and history with this part of the area. I don't know how many of you are planning maybe attempting a transit now or in the future, but we thought this was a great opportunity. And Shelter Bay Marina is a Salty Dog sponsor, so I think they tend to take good care of us if you get there. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Russ. And again, please stay muted until the end of the person and questions in the chat box, and we'll take it from there. Russ, it's all yours.
Hey, good afternoon to everyone, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to talk to you about our wonderful country and our great marina, as well as a lot of other good things about Panama. So, uh, getting to Panama, this is an old shot of the San Blas Islands. This shot's about 25 years old, I think, but it's a great shot. We've been using it for a long time. Why Panama? Well, if you look at this slide, you'll see Panama's down there, and we just don't have hurricanes. They refined it a little bit. You can see it much more clearly on this one. We're not going to worry about that. Living for more is Panama's, I'm not doing this right, is Panama's logo. And they try. I mean, Panama's really here about you getting a great opportunity to live in Panama. They've recently made it easier, which is always good to get in and out of Panama. Panama has one of the best retired deals you can get. Getting to Panama, well, you want to start out with the idea that this is up until the beginning of June, this is an easy route. Right here in this area, right north of where it says Maracaibo, is one of the worst pieces of water in the world. But it's not particularly bad if you're going with the wind, and the wind is blowing through here all the time. I've made this route many times. I never had a calm day in this area, but I've been going 6.5, 7 knots downhill with a handkerchief up and enjoying it, having a beer on the stern, and everything's fine. It's just big waves and a steady wind. Other than that, there's not a lot of other things to worry about. Coming down on this route from Jamaica, there's some reefs out here. You got to be careful of that, but they're not big. There's a line of reefs in here too. Again, it's really easy navigation. I did this the first time long before GPS, never had any problems. So just keep in mind it's easy. And let's see, where would you stop? Aruba, Curacao. We don't recommend Venezuela. It just isn't safe. I guess the best way to put it, it's really not safe at all. Santa Marta near Barranquilla, Cartagena is a very nice place to stop. I like it very much. It's also hurricane free. And it's got good services, good people. And then we're down here in Panama. Easy to get to. This is a going home slide. I'll cover it later. Coming from Mexico, if you happen to be thinking about that, which you're probably not. So let's go to, got to figure out how to go backwards here. Sorry, got ahead of myself. This is Shelter Bay Marina. We're mostly sailboats. We take care of everybody who's going through the Panama Canal. At the very top of the screen over here, you can see the posts of the bridge that goes over the Panama Canal, and the locks start right there. So this is the easy place to go. Panama's recently changed the rules. You sign up to go through the canal online. It's pretty straightforward, very easy. It takes a while sometimes, but the schedule is usually determined by the time of year and the number of boats trying to cross. Right now, happens to be a week before Ash Wednesday. We're in Carnival. So the guys who do the advising for the small boats don't like to be out on the canal at this time of year. So this is bad time to be trying to get across. But in general, it's straightforward. People tend to want to hurry across the canal, and that's a mistake. And it's self-serving, I'll say it, but it's upfront. We are by far and away the best marina in Panama for sailboats, and we're the best marina for other boats. But for sailboats, we're exceptionally good, very well protected. It could be a rough day or a smooth day outside. It's going to be like this in Shelter Bay. Your ability to get to things is enhanced by our transport system. It's safe. We just don't have problems. We're a long way from the community over here in Cologne. It's 25 kilometers. It's a longish trip. There's nobody else in this area with us except the Coast Guard, who's back there. Sorry, I keep clicking on stuff here. The Coast Guard lives in these barracks buildings over here. They man a gate, the outside, so we're really in an ideal situation. I'll go through the canal basics and try not to take too much time about it. You go to the canal website, read it carefully. There's a whole bunch of stuff in there, and it really is, it's easy. We have a website, a video about all the transiting process. That's pretty easy too. And the big thing is relax. You're going to enjoy it. The only thing that causes a complication is when your boat breaks down. So be sure before you leave that you don't have a problem that could crop up, fix it, and be much more comfortable going through. Also, you can invite guests. You got to have 5 people on the boat. So think about that. You can invite people who are in the marina. You can have people come down, but try not to make it you're going to be here on the 19th and we're going through on the 20th. That's a little tight. Anyway, next slide. What's it cost? These are up. There's an additional charge now of $500. So if you're looking at boats under 50 feet, you're looking at, what is it? $2,875. You will get some of that back, and that comes in a refund now to your credit card, I believe. You can take an agent. We got a lot of good agents in Panama. They are efficient. The one thing the agent can do for you is pay a bill that you can't pay when you're in the canal. So you break down, you have a problem in the canal, somebody runs into you in the canal, whatever. The agent can help you a lot there. Other than that, he can't get you a priority in your transit. He deals with the locals very well. If you need supplies or help, some agents are better than others. I always recommend that you get an agent. If you do get an agent, that you have one with offices on both sides. Agents' fees vary a great deal, so negotiate. Okay, this is another old slide of boats going through the canal. They don't do this anymore. This was a yachts only lockage about 20 years ago for a rally. This is standard, however, and it's good to note. You see the boat in the middle doesn't have any lines out. You got lines out to the shore on both ends, and it's pretty straightforward. This is not hard. The canal is very easy, in fact. I've only been through 80 times, so this is another shot of going through the canal. It's kind of impressive when you're behind something that's 1,000 times bigger than you are, something like that. But you can go through alongside a tug. It's a night shot. It's just nice. When you get to the Pacific side, there are 3 marinas. This is Linton. I'm sorry. This is Fort Amador. There's 2 others that are active, and we can take care of you on both ends. The Pacific side costs about twice as much as the Atlantic side. The Atlantic side has an 18-inch swing in tides. The Pacific side has an 18-foot swing in sides. Makes a big difference in the comfort and the costs. Services in Panama, just about anything that you want is offered. In general, if it isn't available in Panama, you can fly somebody in from wherever to get it fixed, if that's the priority. We do a lot of supplying of boats, parts and things for people that are chandlery. But it's available in Panama is almost always the case. Sometimes it's not available where you are, but it's generally available in Panama. Here we're pulling somebody's mast. This is our fuel barge. We sell diesel. None of the marine, well, that's not true. One of the marinas on the Pacific side sells gasoline. It just isn't used in most boats in Panama. You got haul-out facilities. So there's a long list here. Anybody who wants a copy of this, I'll be happy to send them to you. DYI, we support it. We like it. Standing rigging, we do, oh, damn, I'm sorry. I'm not really proficient at this. There's sail lofts, there's just about anything. And shipping duty-free via freight forwarder is about $4 a pound. If you were a yacht in transit, you get duty-free import rights. One of the few things that is a problem is bottom paint, in that there are a zillion kinds of bottom paint, and stocking it all, and there aren't dealers for it all in Panama. And some of the dealers for some of the paint brands are pretty profitable. So it pays to look at what you're going to put on your bottom ahead of time. We do copper coat, C-Jet, couple of others. I'm drawing a blank right now. Okay, now comes the fun part. Panama is a really diverse country. There are so many things to do in Panama, you can't run out. The cruising guide for Panama is 573 pages long. It's written by a guy named Eric Bauhaus. Eric was a kid when I met him who had just bought his first boat. He was 14. His mother and father had sailed in on a sailboat and into Panama, and he decided he wanted to be a sailor. He's now a captain of a big charter yacht. But in the course of this, he wrote the book. And I want to talk about the book just a little bit because it's really worth getting. The Panama Guide, the author Eric Bauhaus, is exceptional in that the charts in the guide are far better than your common, ordinary paper chart, and they're much better as well than the charts in the computer. Eric, because he's a sailor, found out where the charts were wrong, bought the equipment, and made charts that are accurate. His charts are accurate. Nobody's ever had a problem with anything he put on the chart. And they're used by any captain knows what he's doing is using them because they're better. Sorry. This is one of the more famous spots in the San Blas Islands. It's called the swimming pool. It is just a great place to anchor, talk to your friends, get off by yourself, go out to the ocean out here and go diving or fishing. It's just fantastic. There is no scuba allowed in the San Blas. It's all snorkeling, but as you can see, there's an awful lot of snorkeling available. Another San Blas shot. This is Coco Banderas. This is a spot where you might come in. You wouldn't get there at night, but you could get very close to this and tuck in behind an island that's easy and then come down here the next morning. Guna lady with one of our friends here, the little blue-haired parrot. The Gunas have been sort of independent since 1927, when they had a revolution and the US government kind of supported them. So they're the most independent indigenous group in Panama. This is an overall look at Panama and where you're going to be. And I'll try not to click on anything here and make it go away. This area up here under Panama Marina sign is the San Blas. It goes all the way down to off the page. And, oh, I knew, doggone it, so you can go from Shelter Bay to this point right here in one very long day of sailing. It's 80 nautical miles. On the way home, it's easier because the wind is behind you, but it's a beam reach once you get around the corner. So it's quite doable. The marinas that are listed here are all sailboat set up. They're friendly. You'll notice that over here, there's none. This is something that is very interesting. Let me point out that there's two oceans, the Atlantic and the Pacific. And this sea over here is a typical Pacific Sea. It gets colder and warmer. It can be, I've seen a sea surface temperature in here of 50 degrees, thick fog. That's because the current comes up from the south, the Humboldt, and it bends into the marina, but it doesn't go around this point. The Curials, which comes from the north, doesn't come in here either because there's another, oops, sorry, trying to move a map that doesn't move. Another point of land that keeps it from coming in. So, oh boy, I am incompetent. Sorry. How do I get back to this? There we go. This sea down here is an Indo-Pacific Ocean. The islands are very, very different than the islands on the other side of the Azuero Peninsula. This big island down there this one is bigger than Barbados. And as you may or may not be aware, there are no buoys in Panama. You're probably tired of mooring buoys. There aren't any here. So you go and anchor, and there are thousands of anchorages literally in Panama. The Panama Guide will take you to all of them. Okay, next slide. How do I get to I guess I have to just click. The different cultures of Panama. Well, we've got up here in the left-hand corner, those are Embera, and the people in the slide here are looking at an Embera village. And we go along here, this is Embera, this is Embera, this is Guna, this is Nobe, and this is Kuna's ladies singing, doing sewing. This is Nobe ladies, look like they're having a class of some kind. Bocas del Toro, Nasas are a smaller group that are in Bocas del Toro generally. And the Embera, those are not Embera, well, I'm getting ahead of myself, are down on the other side of the mountains that show the San Blas. If you like native, fantastic place. You can go visit these folks. There, you can go up the rivers, put your dinghy in, and you'll find people who are very friendly and easy to meet and talk to. Then we also have whales. The Pearl Islands are a big whale refuge. We almost always have a whale right off Panama City. Used to go sailing every Saturday afternoon, and probably 5 out of 9 we got a whale sighting. There are just a lot of them. Another good shot. We also have whale sharks. Seen a couple of those. They're very common in the area that I showed you on the other side of the Azuero Peninsula, in the part of the ocean that's Indo-Pacific. This shot was taken over there. There's a lot of big stingrays over there around the island of Coiba, which is a refuge. And then there's fishing. This is right outside of Panama City. Uh, just a good day on the water. A lot of Dorado. And there's almost everything else as well. Sail, marlin, jack, amberjack. Just goes on and on. Here's a guy with he's got it looks like a marlin, or maybe it's a sail on the hook. Can't tell. Then there's the mountains. Panama has a 12,500-foot peak, which right up here looks like it's snow cap, but it isn't. It's just cloudy today. It's always cloudy. It does snow up there about once every 5 years, but it's warm enough here, so that doesn't happen very often. Uh, the the highlands have great coffee. The Nobes live in the highlands. That's one of the indigenous groups. There's a lot of history there too. Uh, this is a coffee plantation. And this is Panama City. Um, Old Panama in the foreground, new Panama in the background. This building that I'm right here, if you can see my pointer, is the tallest building south of the United States in the Americas. It's 60 odd stories tall. And Panama's fortunate because this is just an island of rock here. So it's relatively easy to build tall buildings. This is the biggest, this one, oops, sorry, got to go back. I'm not, sorry about this one over here is the biggest, what the hell is it? Hard Rock Cafe building. And there's this one over here was the Trump Tower. It's now JW Marriott. This is old Panama. As you can see, new Panama is right up here. And this is the Panama that Henry Morgan burned. He didn't really get much out of here because the Spaniards had taken all the gold over to these islands right out here. And Henry didn't have the boats to get there, and they were better at defending that. So he did a lot of other things, but he didn't do too much damage there. He did burn it, or they burned it. Hard to tell. And then Panama City, after this was burned, moved in this direction over here. This is actually, this is the other side of the Trump Tower. So it's a pretty small city with a lot of very tall buildings. Got a lot of nightlife, a lot of jazz. We got lots of interesting buildings. Panama City's got all of the high cost jewelry stores and clothing stores and everything down to the lowest price as well. So tremendous amount of variety in the shopping if you need something. Why am I showing you this side? Oh, this is just generally how boats move around. I'm sorry, I lost track of what I was talking about here. As you can see, we see a lot of people coming down to Panama after they crossed. This is the Golden Ark altar, which was taken over to Toboga to keep it out of the Spaniards' hand. And then there's World War II in Panama. We had 165,000 US people in Panama for the Second World War. We had that at that time, Panama had about 700,000 residents. This is a ship here going into the Miraflores locks. The aircraft carriers don't go through anymore. This looks like it's definitely a World War II carrier. They just don't fit even in the new locks. And as a result, there are an awful lot of people in Panama who are dual citizens. Reba Smith is a great grocery store. We put it up here because the stewardesses on the big yachts. What do you like about Panama? Oh, we love Reba Smith because you can get everything. So make time for Panama. That's our motto here. There's a tremendous amount of things to do, a lot of places to go. Rental cars cost about what they do in the States. It's easy to drive in Panama relative to other places in Central and South America. People get scared because there is traffic, but it is easy and people really do enjoy getting around the country. There's so many things to do, great hotels. It's a neat place. What am I doing here? This is one of the beaches on the Pacific side. You can see the difference in tide. And I'm trying to remember I don't know which beach it is, but there's a lot of marine life on the Pacific side that you don't find on the Atlantic side, and vice versa. Another neat beach on the Pacific side. And then we have, this one was taken very close to Shelter Bay Marina. We have I guess they're called a pride. No, it's a herd. No, well, it's a group of howler monkeys that live in the jungle just behind us. And every once in a while, you'll hear the howler monkeys making a lot of noise. That's a great time to head into the jungle and see what got them excited. Because it could be a snake, it could be a jaguar, it could be just a person, but they are interesting and they're right there. The toucan, I'm sure you've all heard of this bird. It's famous for robbing eggs from other birds' nests, but it's pretty. Macaws, there's still a few of these around, not many at the marina anymore, I'm sorry to say. They need a lot of jungle, and we don't have a pair that's living with us anymore. But you will find them where there's more jungle. Jaguars, I'm sorry. They have been spotted in the marina. Well, I shouldn't say inside the marina, but on the marina grounds. So, not big ones, the little ones. This is another monkey, capuchins. They live in the jungle near us as well. Well, are they telling? Oh, no, sorry, that's not a capuchin. It's some other brand of monkey. There's a lot of monkeys in Panama. I thought it looked like a capuchin. This is Panamanians' national dress. Really a gorgeous dress, and it has a unique quality. Because it's very complete, you really only see the person's face, and it makes women in this dress always look good. In carnival time, you have a group of the sorry here. You have the Diablos, who are people who are hustling you for money, or not you, but everybody for money, because they're, well, just making fun of carnival, I guess is the best way to put it. And I want to go to one other slide from another presentation. And I bring this up because it kind of hits some very important points about if you're coming to Panama, do these things. The cruising guide is invaluable. There's no question about it. Start early. You'll need time to see even a fraction of the fascinating destinations I'm reading, but it's true. There are so many things to do that you could spend 2 years here and not do them all. Because we're a full service marina, we really appreciate it when you tell us as soon as it breaks that you're going to need to fix it. You may fix it in a lot of different ways, but if we know you need to fix it and you're going to need a part, we can quote the parts, we can get them to you, you get them here. Usually, we're doing pretty well now. We oftentimes get stuff at the same price you'd buy it from West Marine in Panama. I mean, it's delivered in Panama at the price you would pay for it in West Marine in the States. Oh, sorry. let me go back again. Boy, I'm bad. Um, Compared to the rest of the Caribbean, which you've now been exposed to, this is, it's cheaper, it's faster, and there's a lot of stock in Panama, not necessarily for sailboat items, although we stock quite a bit, but for engines, oil, lubricants, hydraulics, all of that kind of stuff is really extensively available. And Panama is a great place to dry store your boat. We, as you saw, there's no hurricanes. We have extensive dry storage and wet storage available. And it's, if you're going to bring your boat over, leave it for a few months and, or a year. We have had people who put the boat up every year and come in here and sail for 3 months and then put the boat back up and go back to where Canada in general. They come down for the worst of winter. I did want to point out that Panamanian authorities have installed a system called the VUMPA, which is Ventanilla Única Marítima de Panamá. You don't need to know what it stands for, but you can find that on the Panama Canal website. And you will find there's a handline check-in point. You go to the handline check-in point and fill it out. It's really pretty straightforward. I'm not going to cover any of the other stuff. What do I need to do here? I need to go to the leaving Panama slide. Don't save. I want to go back to this other slide, which is about going home. This is one of the neat slides here, because if you're over here in Montserrat or anywhere in this area, you're going to go back north and you're going up this way. You've got a lot of open ocean up in the stateside part of it, or you get in and you go up through the islands. From Panama to San Andreas, it's 210 miles. From San Andreas to Grand Cayman, it's 315 or 320. From Isla Cayman to Cancun, it's 195, I think, and then up to Miami is another 260 or so. In essence, you don't have but a couple of overnight sails to do this. There are also islands in here to stop at, and here there's a couple of big reefs. There's New Providence Island or Providencia. So there's a lot of stuff that you can do on your way home that's easier. You can also take the other route. I don't recommend this as much because the wind's coming from this direction, but you can go to Jamaica, and the north coast of Jamaica, there's a good place to stop. And then there's no place in particular in Haiti, but you can get over the Turks and Caicos. So if you're coming to Panama, getting home is pretty straightforward. Once you get up here to camp, I should mention, from about this point on, from the San Andreas Providencia islands on, there's a Nada current going this way, gets up to 2 knots as you go through this channel, and you're picking up the Gulf Stream this way. So you get kicking the butt most of the way home. I guess I'm open for questions now. What happened to my Zoom? What happened here?
No, you're still there, Russ. No problem. You can stop
Okay.
sharing your screen. And
Okay, how about tell me what to do here? How do I stop sharing?
um,
Oh, stop share right there in the middle of the screen.
excellent. There you go.
There
Yeah.
you go. Okay.
Okay, so going right back to the top. Thank you very much. So we had a couple of questions. The first is the marina do-it-yourself yard, or do you have to contract everything?
No, it's do it yourself. You can do anything you want. We discourage sandblasting. But yeah, no, we supply, our chandlery has all the stuff you need to do it yourself as well.
Excellent.
We have an extremely large stock of stainless 316 stainless stuff because it's hard to get everywhere else. We also
Okay.
carry cordage and things like that.
And so you were talking about gasoline. Uh, is it easier to get gasoline on the Atlantic side where you are, or
It's not easy anywhere.
it's not?
There's one marina that has it, but it's not easy anywhere because there just aren't a lot. There's a few outboards on the Atlantic side. There's one marina that has it. Actually it's a club, but you don't need gasoline unless you're running an outboard. And so we normally help people get the gasoline for their outboards, but it's the one thing you're not going to find in every marina around the corner. Gasoline's expensive for boats because it's normally not stocked.
Okay. Almost sounds like you should.
One of the few things that we don't have a lot of here. It's not every day, but uh, there's all the labor is available. It's getting more expensive, but it's still available, and it's still a lot less than it would be in the US.
Okay.
So
That
that's pretty
actually
much it.
starts to answer the next question, which was how do the cost of labor and services compare to the US? Um,
Um, okay, that's a bottom job is going to be significantly less. We put a lot of copper coat on boats for people who are going to do a lot of cruising. It costs probably half of what it would cost in the US to do a copper coat job. Bottom job, the prices are significantly lower. We keep track of the US prices and we're always maybe not half, but we're close. Now, I got to tell you up front, Cartagena probably has better prices for labor on almost anything, but they don't have very good supply of parts and things like that at reasonable prices. So there's a trade-off. If you want a rebuild of your entire inside of your boat and you need a carpenter, well, go to Cartagena. On the other hand, Panama has good teak and it's certified. We're exporting teak to Holland for boat building. So there's a lot of great materials in Panama you're not going to get in Colombia.
okay. Next question is there is there a best time of the year to be planning on doing a transit? And part two to that question that we can answer, kind of get both. What's the latest time of the year to transit the canal?
There's no where you're going determines when you're going to transit the canal. If you're the canal operates 365 24. It's always open. It's always there. You can go on Christmas Day, whatever. But uh, we see people want to transit the Pacific. If they're going across the Pacific, they want to get across before the hurricane season it starts in the Pacific. So we'll see the density of transits is between the 1st of January and the 15th of May. That's when people are pushing to get through so they can get across uh, and get out of the hurricane areas before the hurricane season. But there's no problem transiting anytime. If you're just going to turn and go up the Atlantic coast, the Pacific coast to California, then you want to look at what your weather window is going to be on that run, which is it's universally bad, but it can be done. It's always tough going north on the Pacific coast. You're running against the current, and there's some places that are pretty nasty. Uh, there's no bad time to transit the canal. It's going to be, weather on both sides is pretty good all the time. It's 82 here today. I'm sitting in my office. It's not air conditioned. It's just comfortable. One of the things I didn't mention, and I wanted to ask, is we have a lot of rallies come to us. We have all the big ones, the Ark, the Oyster, the two more I can't not coming to mind right away. And one of we sponsor as much as we can anything that's moving boats. I like to say that I walk down the dock and a guy's been there for more than a month or so. I ask him, hey, I like you. It's nice that you're here, but why don't you go sailing? You're on the sailboat because you're supposed to be sailing. We provide a good place for you to be, but it's not our goal is to get sailing, people sailing, they come back. And so go out to the San Blas, go up to Bocas del Toro, sail up to Panama, to San Andreas, go over to Colombia, but come back. We're the best. We don't have any problem getting you back. When you get back, you're coming back because you like us. So uh, we'd like to sponsor or work out a way to sponsor a Salty Dog Rally from places at the end of the season when you're thinking it's May and you want to get out of this hurricane area. Sponsor a rally that brings you down to Panama. Well, if you want to race, we can figure out a way to make, keep time and get everybody racing. We're interested in helping people move around and be comfortable. One thing to mention for you is that there are some insurance companies that don't give you a break for being in Panama. If you're in Panama and your boat's in Panamanian waters, you can get insurance here at usually about 1.8 or 1.9. That's the percentage of hull value you wind up paying for insurance. And an awful lot of places in the Caribbean are up over 3 or 4. So that's just a kind of general rule. Liability is easy, and if you get a big deductible, it's really easy to be here. There's not a lot of things that are going to go wrong. You'd have to run it into a rock or get hit. That's about it. Because the weather's not going to hurt you.
Okay, in terms of provisioning, somebody had a question about propane. Is it easy to get propane in Panama?
We send propane bottles in to be filled every day. It's easy. It's available in 3 or 4 places, and we fill European, we fill the Spaniards are different. They fill all the propane bottles, literally. Little blue ones, big green ones, aluminum. We sell propane bottles. We service them.
Okay. So you mentioned that security at the marina itself is really good. Can you talk a little bit about, security in this neck of the woods, in terms of, some of us are maybe not that familiar with um, what it's like there. We obviously Venezuela is not someplace you want to be, and there may be some others.
I think security is, I'm sorry, security is your responsibility. And I'm a big fan of telling people that, but the local environment here in Panama is very good. We've had incidents because people did stupid things, and we have people who occasionally lose something because, again, generally speaking, they didn't secure it. Boat invasions are very, very rare. I can think of 3 in the last 5 years. So you're not talking about something that's going to happen very often. Dinghy and outboard motor theft is also unusual, but it is a problem everywhere. And so you should always, the same thing that you're doing in the Caribbean, if you're doing it right, you're tying that thing down pretty well. As far as your personal safety, Panama's not a violent country in general. The murder rate is almost, I say not the murder rate, but murder is almost exclusively a drug gang, local gang problem. There are areas which you shouldn't be in, and we try and help you ensure that you don't get into those areas. Panama's a unique country in many ways. I'm a foreigner. You're a foreigner. If you live in Panama and are a resident, you can get a carry permit. As a result, there are very few people carrying guns because it's not the only people who are carrying guns are in a job that might need a gun. So it's like it's an unusual effect of there is gun control, but it's, you know, you can buy a gun and carry it if that's what you choose to do. Uh, I drive my car to the marina. I park the car and leave the keys in the ignition in case somebody needs to move it. It's not everybody does that, but some people do. And you know, it's pretty safe. Uh, I live in Panama City. I never, in my normal day-to-day life, I'm never concerned about where I am. Uh, there are places that I go to that I know I have to be careful, but you know, I live here. You wouldn't get to those places in the normal course of things. I would like to make a pitch for everybody who does go out anywhere in the world. And this is my standard. I see somebody getting on the bus going into Cologne and they're wearing flip-flops. And I ask them how fast they can run in flip-flops because 90% of not getting ripped off is not being a target. And somebody wearing flip-flops in a busy neighborhood anywhere in the world is a target for a guy who's snatch and grab. So safety, I'd say it's outstanding. Medical here is first rate. My personal physician, heart doctor, who I don't have a heart problem, but he's still a good guy. He went to Columbia for his undergraduate, Yale for graduates. No, he went to Yale for undergraduate and Stanford for his medical degree. So, and there's a lot of those people here. Most of the doctors are U.S. board certified. A couple of hospitals are U.S. certified. Drug prices are mostly reasonable. That goes for illicit drugs as well, which is a problem sometimes, but it's not difficult here to find medical attention. Dentists are really inexpensive, but compared to the U.S., veterinary services are available for your pets. This is a pet-friendly country. Bring them in. They can come into the restaurant. I was in a restaurant the other day that had a $9 doggy plate. I guess that, you know, take care of your pets.
Sounds good.
It's
one,
unique.
one last question going back to provisioning on, turns out about propane. Do they care about the date stamp on propane cylinders, I guess, in terms of whether it's been inspected or not?
I've never seen one rejected for a date stamp.
Okay.
Uh, we even I want to say adjust some propane tanks. There's the fiberglass tanks are common here, so change the valve. Now you got a fiberglass tank.
Okay. We have a question about the San Blas Islands. They've heard or read that locals sometimes will come out to your boat and ask for water or food. The question is, should I invite them onto the boat? What advice can you give about being in those islands with the locals?
In general, the sound blasts are very friendly. They're not, they have obviously a different set of standards. So borrowing something from your boat is a possibility. I would not invite somebody I hadn't met on the beach and talked to for a while on the boat. There are people who will try and sell you fish and lobster and drugs. Be careful. But in general, there's not a lot. There are some mildly aggressive folks there. You know, up anchor, go to another anchorage if you have any doubts about it. They'll take your garbage, not dispose of it very well. There are lots of. It's like a lot of other places. It isn't perfect, but it's very pleasant. They do have a charge. Each of it's called a comarca, which is just another name for a reservation or territory, if you probably a better number for it. And you could be moving between parts of the comarca, pay one or more anchoring fees. They're $3 or $4 usually. It's not excessive. Um, Safety in the sandblast. About 5 years ago, a guy got himself killed by accident, sort of. Somebody on the shore had a shotgun and he was waving it around, and a little complicated case, but it's very unusual. It's the only cruiser I think who's ever been killed in Panama by anybody. Well, by in the course of cruising.
Okay, next question. Um, is there a particular time of the year when you have higher frequency of lightning strikes?
Uh, well, the rainy season is going to be higher frequency of lightning strikes. Yes. So the rainiest season is October, November, and it's like Florida or any place else that has the wet season and a dry season. There are more rain, more thunderstorms, more lightning.
Okay, so it sounds like, and this maybe answers the next question, December to March are even better, are better months to be cruising down in the Panama area.
Yes, I'd say that's true. Although I personally like July, August much better because the it's calmer. You get nice winds. It's easy. So December, you can have the trades can start blowing and you can get 20, 25 knots of wind. So it depends on your where you're going to be as well, because if you're on the Atlantic side, December, January, February is pretty rough. On the Pacific side, it's very nice. So on the Pacific side, on the other hand, in June, July, and August, there's not a lot of wind. So you go to the Atlantic side where it's got some nice breezes. It just it depends entirely on your itinerary.
Okay. And James had a question. He says, looks like the fifth edition of the Panama Cruising Guide was published in 2014. Is it still current?
I
Or
believe it's the latest edition. Yes.
okay, and that's
Yeah, he's coming out with a digital edition.
okay.
Uh, and he's also the guy's really he's a self-taught engineer. He's building a new catamaran with his boss in Finland, I believe. Was talking to me about it. It's got an interesting um, propulsion system with it's a small diesel with an electric motor in the drivetrain. It's kind of interesting, and it's an asymmetrical hull and kind of all sorts of stuff. So he's got other things going on, but he's still updating his charts if something happens.
Okay. Um, in terms of clearing in and out of from a customs perspective, how easy is that and where do you go?
Well, there are. It's one of those things that's right now it's in flux. Every time the government changes, they change a lot of officials. I, I'm part of the association, the National Association of Nautical Tourism here, and one of the things we're trying to do is get that uh, to be much more uniform. If you come to Shelter Bay, it's different than if you go someplace else because where the government officials are. In general, you should be able to check in. Uh, the process is you check in with the port captain, he stamps your papers, your crew list is there. You go to immigration and check in with immigration, and you're in. Customs and health don't generally check anything unless we call and say, hey, we suspect this boat's got something on it you want to look at. I mean, it's that literally Shelter Bay dockmasters are the customs guys. Every once in a while, we have a boat that just doesn't look kosher, and we'll say, hey, come on over. We don't want them in the marina if they're not kosher, and I'd rather take the risk of having somebody inspected than thinking it could be. And that happens about once every 4 years, 3 years. It's not very frequent. Most of the cruisers are wise enough to not come into a marina if they think they're going to be inspected
Mhm.
or could be inspected. we have the Coast Guard right on the base with us. So we don't have to call very far.
Okay, great. Well, do we have any other questions? Going once? Okay, so thank you again, Russ, very much. And we'll keep your offer in mind about maybe organizing a rally in that direction. It's something that might be in the cards in the future, since I mean, as an organization, we are looking at expanding the directions we're going.
Well, I like your rallies because I I like to call them they're gaggles, and the gaggles are always more happier campers in the gaggles. We get some rallies that are very tightly organized and on a strict schedule, and there's always a couple people in there that are not happy campers.
We've heard of that. And
Yeah, and let us know ahead of time. I'm sure we can organize some prizes, and certainly the country is interested in promoting nautical tourism, and so lots of things are available. Right now, I just saw the legislation. I don't know how it's going to work out, but Panama has the least expensive cruising permit in the Caribbean. It's $180 for a year. That's it.
that's
Come in, you pay your $180 and you're good for a year.
that's pretty you just got a thumbs up from Stephen Bill, I think.
Yeah. Uh, they're now talking about making the first 3 months free. So it's
Okay. Well, I think there's some excitement in the audience from what I can see in the chat. And again, thank you very much. And I'll say goodnight to everyone. We have our next webinar. I believe it's next Tuesday. So let me
been a privilege talking to you.